Hey, what is up guys? My name is Guillaume. Welcome to Thomann's Guitars and Basses and to this series in which I usually build guitar pedal boards inspired by artists, inspired by brands, by colors. Why not? And today is a very special episode. It is way out of my comfort zone because I'm going to be building a budget sort of essentials bass pedal board. So please, short disclaimer before we get started, I am no bass player whatsoever. I like to pretend that I am, and it's really good fun. So this is what I'm going to be doing today. Don't judge the playing, but you can judge the board itself. The idea is to build something that is compact, that is as versatile as possible, whether we're talking sounds or we're talking routing capabilities, meaning that if you want that special pedal board to track in the studio, to record DI, to record with the effects, to go direct on stage, to go to an amp, it should be capable of doing all of those things. So, without further ado, let's get started. Introducing the board itself, which is the Dario Expand 1, the small boy, as you can see already sort of expanded. Really solid platform. I'm going to be pairing that with the Chuck's Lynx DC5, which is also very compact, low-profile power supply. We'll get back to that once we get to assembling the board, but that's going to be my platform for today. Let's introduce the pedals. And pedal number one for today is the Harley Benton Double Down. This is part of the new sort of dual pedal, new-ish dual pedal series by Harley Benton. This is a compressor and an octaver specially dedicated for bass players. Now, if you are a beginner bass player, you'd be tempted to say, well, a compressor is a compressor, an octaver is an octaver, but no, it's not, because you have to be conscious that it is a vastly different range of frequencies that we're talking about, so you really want something that's dedicated, whether it's in terms of compression or bass octave, which is exactly what that is. It's a two-in-one, so we are sparing a lot of space and budget by having those kinds of pedals on the board, and I think those are two of the main bass effects that you're going to require for your top 40 type of thing. So that's going to be our first pedal for today and first in the signal chain as well. And pedal number two for today is the heart and brains of the operation. This is the Bass Pocket Amp by Thomann. That thing is, I think, a must if you're building a budget bass pedal board because it is incredibly versatile, whether we're talking sounds or routing options, because you have a fully comprehensive preamp with EQ, gain stages, different types of gain modes with a drive and a fuzz, but also a whole lot of I/O around it, meaning you have the bass input, of course, you have a through if you want to go from that pedal into a tuner and just mute your whole sound while you're tuning. You have an effects loop. You have a DI out that you can select either pre or post, which is going to be really handy, and we'll talk more about this once the board is assembled and we can sort of list out all of our routing options. And finally, obviously, a 1/4 inch out if you want to go to an amp. So yeah, super versatile little thing. So that's going to be our pedal number two for today. And pedal number three is no other than the Bass Big Muff by Electro Harmonics. Now, I think that an extra gain stage on that board is going to come in really handy, whether we're talking about a fuzz or a like dedicated bass overdrive type thing. I went for fuzz because I like fuzz, and this one's really cool because not only do you have the like classic legendary Big Muff sound, but also a bunch of routing and switching options with a bass boost, a dry switch, as well as a dry out. If you don't have something like the Thomann and you need a separate output that is dry to be mixed and blended in post. So really compact, affordable pedal, and it's a fuzz. You need a fuzz, period. And fourth and final pedal for this board is going to be the Ampeg Liquefier Analog Chorus. Now, obviously, you have a choice of many different types of modulation for bass. It is vastly going to depend on what kind of style you're playing, what kind of songs you're covering or aiming to cover. I went for chorus because I think if you're going for the classic sort of 80s songs and everything, like you're going to need a cover more than you're going to need an envelope filter, for example. That being said, it was a tie. since we're on a budget, could only go for one. Went for this one. Really, really cool as well. Really good classic sounding chorus with a dry mix as well, which for bass, I think, should be mandatory on every type of effect, regardless of what you do. But yeah, just to add a little bit of modulation, a little bit of versatility to the board, this is going to be our fourth pedal for today. Okay, so we have our 4 pedals. I'm going to get to assembling the board, putting everything together, making sure that it all works, and then we'll talk about the routing and how you can use it and make the best of it. All right, everything's assembled. Everything is turning on and off. Beautiful. I really love the way it looks. It is so compact and cute, and it does so much as well. I want to address that before we start, before I start playing, because the main objective of this board was versatility. I think sound-wise, we already have like a very nice array of different sounds. But the main point is routing, because this little thing and the way that it's cabled allows you to do basically everything and anything you might need as a bass player. So as you see in the back, I've got a XLR cable coming out of it that is going to be my DI. I have it in pre, that means that that DI signal is going to be clean. It's going to go directly to the mixer, only being affected by the compressor and maybe the octave if I use it. But that means that the sound engineer can either use that sound and blend it to your amp sound if you're using that, or just run DI. If you only have the DI and you're not going to be using an amp, the only thing you have to do is switch the switch to post. And that means that it will take everything in the signal chain and send it with that DI signal. But in this case, I'm going to be using a bass amp on top of the DI, so I'm going to keep the DI clean. I'm going to be running the amp out into Julia's amp, the Gensler Magellan 800. Hey, it's good. Julia picked it, so it's got to be good. So I'll be using both, try and give you guys a little bit of a taste of everything that this rig offers. Please note that if you want to add a tuner, you can just put it through the bass, through on the bass pocket amp. And it also allows to put in an auxiliary in if you want to play over a backing track, and use headphones with it if you want to rehearse quietly. I think that is just about as versatile as that can be. And yeah, you basically covered whatever gig you land, whatever rehearsal you have, or practice session, whether it's at home or in any sort of amp or console inputs. So with that said, let's see how it all sounds. And that's it for the sounds. I'm happy with the board, at least. Not so much with my playing, but I think it's a nice array of different sounds. Some of them being like really creative. I think the chorus and compressor worked really well. I like that kind of groovy stuff. The muff obviously does the muff thing, and the bass pocket amp does everything. It's a lot of heavy lifting. It's, again, so much routing and so many possibilities for that small of a rig in the end. Yeah, just really, really happy with it. But what did you think of it? What do you use? Do you go direct? Do you go to an amp? Do you go to several amps? Do you want more bass videos? Because we've had a lot of comments over the first few episodes of that series asking for more bass content. This is me trying. Let me know what you thought in the comment section. While you're down there, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel if you have not already, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.